Here's my baby.
I'm Dana Denha.
And I am Melissa Bondi, and this is Adventures in Parenthood, where we take a ride on the roller coaster that we call parenting.
The digital age has made many aspects of our lives easier, but it can also be a place of false information and bad influence. And we're responsible to keep our kids safe, or they could fall victim to some of the negative aspects of the online world. Have you dealt with this with Bryn? Have you had like a situation? I know I personally have, where you're like, oops.
Yeah, Dana. I've had a couple. Having it usually has, and I couldn't believe at this age it's already started. And this wasn't even she's 8, but this happened at 6 or 7, where it was one of those kids messenger, and she's talking with a group of girls. One says one thing and then the other, and then it's all the girls chime in and talk about how why did she say that? And it was just so awkward. It made me so sad because then I go back and look at it. Normally I hear her talking on it when she's on it. I verbally hear her. But oh my gosh. And then all the girls came specifically at her because something she said. And you got to remember these kids are, like I said, 6, 7, 8. And oh my gosh. And this is just on Kids Messenger. And that's the whole, I think that's real big with kids right now is the group messaging. It is with adults too, right? With our friends and
Mhm.
groups. And it's already started at that age. So yeah, I've experienced it.
Yeah, Kiki's not on like that sort of situation yet where she's like messaging people yet. I just sort of
Hmm.
tried to stay away from it, honestly, at this point. But I recently, I mean, this was just maybe 2 months ago. We're having sleepovers now. She has like a best friend, and like she'll sleep at our house most of the time. I'm usually the house they sleep at because that's
Yeah.
what Kiki prefers.
Okay. Sure.
So I'm taking care of a baby and an additional child at this point. I have Kiki, her friend, and then the baby, and I'm home alone at this point. And her friend tells me that Kiki showed her something online that scared
Uh,
her.
oh,
And then we're having lunch later, and we're sitting at the table, and she's like on the verge of tears from this video that Kiki
oh,
showed her.
mm,
And I feel terrible because I'm like, I'm the parent. It's my fault. It's not Kiki's fault. And I
hmm.
don't even know at this point what the video is. And Kiki doesn't know either because whatever it was, it didn't bother her.
Okay.
And then I have to go drop the girl off. And I have to go tell her parents. I'm like, My daughter really scared your daughter. And she was on the verge of tears. She didn't cry, but she was close to it. And I'm like, I just want you to know that tonight, if she has problems, that I'm very sorry. It was something that happened at my house and I dropped the ball. Like I dropped the ball. And
Hmm.
speaking of that, we're actually going to be talking to someone that can help us with these issues because I think
Hmm.
this is all sort of new to a lot of parents.
Sure.
Many parents struggle with limiting their kids' use of technology and monitoring their online activity. Protect My Child is a resource here to help through safeguards and tips to keep communication lines open between parents or guardians and children. Joining us is Alicia Maneely, Government and Community Outreach Coordinator for Protect My Child. Welcome to the show, Alicia.
Hi, guys. Thanks, Dana and Melissa, for having me.
Welcome.
Can you just start off with like a synopsis or like what Protect My Child really is and how it's useful to parents?
Yep. So, first, it's been around since 2005. This is also called the Michigan Child Protection Registry. It is a registry for parents or guardians. And what they would do is you would go in as a parent or guardian into the registry and you would register you and your child's email, phone number, and then any apps that they're using. So their usernames for Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Discord, and Twitch. Those are the apps that we have now. You would register all their information and you and your child would stop receiving anything a minor shouldn't be receiving in the first place within 30 days. And what I mean by that is any advertisements from pornography, gambling, tobacco, which is, obviously vaping, alcohol, and marijuana, since it is legal here in the state of Michigan. Of those ads, though, I have to tell you, pornography is definitely prevalent. And if you go into you or your child's email spam, that's where you'll see a lot of that. And this registry even blocks those ads from going into your spam. Because I know a lot of kids like to go in there to, see what kind of spam they get. That's where all the bad stuff usually goes. But also, I want to make it pretty clear, online gambling has become a huge issue with our teenagers since Michigan, since it became a law here in Michigan for online gambling. And so this registry will help stop a lot of those emails and text messages that are coming in for the online gambling ads as well.
Wow, I did not know that. I have been concerned about, even just like watching television. You're not even online, you're on TV. And
Hmm.
if you're watching television in the middle of the day, there's literally gambling commercials that are like 7 minutes long. And I'll like
Yeah.
leave the room and my baby's in there and I'm like, what is my baby learning? Like he doesn't need to know about gambling. I think gambling online is like this thing that shouldn't be happening. Personally, it's like my personal opinion. But
Yeah.
teens doing it, I mean, you're starting a horrible habit at such a young age and you're probably never going to get out of it then.
Right. And all they have to do is click on these ads and lie about their age and they're in. And what I've been told from the governor's office is that there's a gambling hotline Michigan has always had. Ever since she signed this law, the phone calls to the helpline has gone up 700%.
Oh my gosh. So, Alicia, as far as the registry of an email, correct? You said it was of an email because I find my daughter on YouTube, regular YouTube. We have a shared account, her and purposefully, I set that up.
Good.
But I'll still notice her ads and she notices the ads and I'm like, wow, what is popping up right now? But this is more so blocking things that are coming to the email, even though she has a YouTube account. Would I register her YouTube account?
Correct. So through YouTube, you can message people. So it's through that messaging pipeline right there that
Okay.
a lot of ads come into. The registry, unfortunately, does not stop those pop-ups
Mm.
or those those commercial advertisements in between videos. It does not
Oh,
stop those.
okay.
Yeah, I think like talking about this stuff, personally, my daughter likes to do stuff online that I don't do, like play Roblox. And
Oh
like
yeah.
she'll talk about Roblox and then you have to like have friends and stuff. Like, so this is like one of my big concerns because I'm like, I don't really understand Roblox. And then I'm
Well,
letting her play it. And then I just went on there yesterday and I was like, oh, there is some parental control where I can stop this stuff from happening. But it also is this weird thing where you're like, there's people trying to be friends with you that you don't
Yeah.
really know.
yeah, I got to tell you. So my kids are 10 and 15, and when they were younger, Roblox was my go-to for them. But there didn't Roblox wasn't that bad back then. Now, I don't think a lot of people realize there's over 40 million games on Roblox now.
Mhm.
And most of them are adult oriented. So what I tell parents, yes, there are parental controls for Roblox, use all of them. And what I tell parents too is make sure you don't put in your birthday. Put in your child's birthday because that's how Roblox determines what games you can and
Oh,
can't play. And I
okay.
tell parents that for any app they're using,
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, make sure their real birthday is actually what is put in.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes people we think the opposite as parents. We're like, we're not putting our child's birthday in there. It's going to be
Right.
ours, right? We're not going to put theirs on there and put the date and the year. But yeah, to your point, it should be that way when it comes
Yeah.
to the controls of these apps. And by the way, Dana, I play Roblox and it's very confusing. I get very confused.
I'm not alone. I feel like I'm so old now because like the way she views stuff is so different than the way I view things personally. So
Yeah.
I do feel a little lost when she does even YouTube. I don't really watch YouTube videos, but that's what she would prefer to watch
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. If I need to fix something, I'll get on YouTube or like cook something, but
Of
that's
course.
it. But that is my daughter's go-to as well, is YouTube. That's where she even just watches shows
Hmm.
that are on, not just to watch just these random crazy videos, even just to watch her own shows. That's where she goes. That's their
Yeah.
main, TV.
Yeah,
And I
YouTube.
think it sort of creeps up on you too, because it's like one point they're a little kid, you might give them a tablet to play some baby games on it, and then like all of a sudden a couple years have passed and they're on YouTube watching stuff, and you haven't done anything to prevent them from watching things that they shouldn't be watching.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Even though this is my daily job, I still feel like I'm not keeping up well enough
It's
on what's
hard.
out there and what my kids are doing.
Oh my, oh my gosh. So, Alicia, give us some scenarios of parents who have contacted you, like with question, A, B, and C. What are they asking you that you find you're always being asked?
It's funny. So and it's almost become a pet peeve of mine, but I have so many parents that come up to me and say, my kid is on Snapchat and I
Mm.
don't want them on Snapchat. I don't know what to do, but they're already on Snapchat. And I'm just like, okay, well, first, you're a little late. But second, if that's your phone, if you are paying for that phone, you have got to remember as an adult, as a parent, that is not your child's device. It is your device.
Mm.
And so there are so many ways that you can stop your kids from downloading these apps that you don't want them to use yet. My suggestion, and a lot of parents and a lot of kids are not going to like this, is I would suggest sticking to an Android and not an iPhone. An
Mm.
iPhone, I know kids think iPhone's the coolest. I get it. I understand. But iPhone does not, their biggest thing is privacy. They're not really into keeping kids safe. So, like for example, there's this app called Bark. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's a fantastic app that you can download on your devices. You can even download it on your router. And what it does, it saved so many kids' lives. If your kid in an app or an email or even in a music and a song that they're listening to, if there are any words that are used like drugs, suicide, swearing, anything, Bark has all these algorithms that will contact you as a parent immediately if any of these words are used. Like if someone even says, I think so and so is using marijuana, you as a parent will receive an email or a text, however you have it set up right away, that this is on your kid's phone, even if it's texted to them and they didn't type it. It's phenomenal. However, what I'm trying to get at is an iPhone, if you download Bark, it does not look at Snapchat, Instagram, or TikTok. If
Mm.
you download it to an Android, it will look at all of those apps. And another reason why I like Android, and that is the one that my son has, I waited until my son was 12 to get a phone. And he was ready. That's another question I get a lot from parents. What age should I get my kids a phone? I think every kid is different, and I'll come back to that. But so now my son has an Android, and we have what's called Family Link through Android, and he cannot download a single thing unless I okay it. I'll
Hmm.
get a text saying Liam wants to download Snapchat, yes or no. And if I say no, he cannot download that app. So I get that asked a lot. Like my kids, because a lot of kids will download an app and then when they get home from school, delete it. So
Oh.
you've got to have these parental controls laid out first so that they can't download these things without your permission electronically. But that's another question I get asked a lot is how much screen time should my kid have? What age should my child get a cell phone? And I got to be honest, I try and stay away from giving that advice because I'm going to give you an example. Like I said, my son is 15 and at 12, he was ready. He wasn't interested in social media. He still isn't. His phone is full of sports apps.
Hmm.
And he's a very responsible kid. He gets good grades, all of that. My daughter is 10. She's completely different than my son and
Mhm.
will probably want to have all the, she's home today sick, so she hears me. She she's going to want to be on everything. So it is going to be a completely different scenario.
Mhm.
Every family is different, every child is different.
Okay.
But parental controls, there's so many free parental controls. Like so many parents don't, and I get that. So many parents don't understand that. Like there's every device has its own parental controls. Every phone, your router has parental controls.
Yeah.
So what I tell parents is whatever router or device you have, immediately just Google whatever the device is, parental controls, and you will find line by line on how to set those up, and they're free.
Okay. That's good to
Well,
know.
yeah, it's great advice. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more about this stuff in 60 seconds when we're back with more from Alicia. We're back with Alicia Manili with Protect My Child. You know, Alicia, we were talking about ways that we can do safeguards online, and you're talking about your different browsers and stuff like that. And a big thing, a lot of kids now, when we were young, you didn't get a phone. I mean, no one had a cell phone. I didn't get my first cell phone until I was like 19 years old, I think, because
Yeah.
no one had a cell phone back then. So, like, we're talking about like a 10, 11-year-old having a cell phone, but there's cell phones out there that are really for younger children.
Yeah, there are. When they're getting to that age, that middle school age, they have practice after school, or they are at friends' houses, or we live in a huge neighborhood. My kids are running around the neighborhood like crazy. You do need to get in contact with them somehow. So there's so many parents that want to communicate with their kids, but don't want them to have the full blown, social media atmosphere yet. What I would suggest is Bark, the app that I was talking about earlier. They have just come out with their own phone and it's phenomenal. It looks like an iPhone, which so then, a lot of kids get teased if they have their first phone is a flip phone or something like that. But this looks like a real phone. They can call whoever they want, they can text, but there is no social media. It is a great starter phone for middle schoolers. And I would
So
definitely suggest that.
is Bark, it's a phone, but there's also an app.
Correct. So, yep, it used to be how it started. It was an app that you would download to your device or to your router. And it's an app that just watches every single word that is either emailed or text or mute, like I said, music. If there's like foul language, even drug use language in a song, you as a parent will be notified immediately of that. And why I said that it has saved a lot of kids' lives is there are a lot of kids that were thinking about suicide and their parents did not know until they downloaded this app and were emailed and text that, hey, your child is using these words, or they found out that their child's friend is thinking of suicide because of the text messages their child is receiving. It has really saved a lot of kids' lives. It also has a GPS.
Wow. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's part of
great
the
app.
reason I like mostly for having a device that I gave to my daughter is because tracking and then communication. But you're right, I don't want the full-blown phone. She doesn't need
Right.
that. Yeah.
Not at first. There's got to be a baby steps here,
Mm-hmm.
especially for certain kids. Like I said, though, my son who was 12, he still to this day isn't interested in social media.
Okay.
I think it's maybe more of a boy thing. I don't know. But like I said, my daughter's going to want it all, and that's just not going to
I
happen.
agree. I do think it's something about having girls. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying because I have a daughter who probably since she was 5, who's never been on TikTok. pretends like she's doing TikTok videos. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
watch this TikTok I'm doing. And she's just like dancing. And I'm like, you're just
Yeah.
dancing, you know? But they are really interested in it where I'm like, I've never used TikTok. I don't know anything about it. And so I don't want her on there anytime soon. But I agree with this, like, in the digital age, there's this online bullying aspect where people can be bullies and they're behind a screen, so they'll say the meanest things you could ever think of. And then
Yep.
this gets into your, when you are hormonal and you're going through changes and growing up, your emotions are totally different than when you're an established adult. And so
Right.
if someone's
True.
saying these terrible things to you online, you're going to think that they're true. And this is
You
where you
are.
really, and that's where that suicide aspect comes in. And you want to make sure that your kids don't think that these horrible things are true because they're not.
Yeah. I have to say the biggest one in regards to bullying, and you wouldn't think about this until your kid is actually on it. One of my really good friend's daughters, she is 14 and she just let her download Snapchat. And on Snapchat, there's this thing called Snap Map, and it can show where you're at, like pretty much down to the car you're in. And if you have your location on in Snapchat, you can see where all your friends are. Well, what's been happening to my friend's daughter is all of her friends have been telling her, we're not going to do anything tonight. We're just going to sit home. So and so doesn't feel good. I don't want whatever. And then she's at home and she gets on Snapchat and she sees on her map all of her friends are at someone's house. And it has been mentally
Mhm.
devastating for her. She's now in counseling. It has completely changed her as a child, and it's been awful for their family. I
Alicia,
mean,
when
and these aren't even words. These are just,
yeah, well, and I understand that too because it's like this feeling of like, oh, I guess I'm not good enough. They don't
yeah,
want to hang out with me. I'm
The
not
left,
good enough.
strong.
the left out
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alicia,
Yeah,
when
it's
you
awful.
are registering with Protect My Child, it obviously my is that Michigan my. Do you have to be a Michigan resident to take advantage of it?
So you have to be either in Utah or in Michigan.
Okay.
So that is it. We are trying to get this passed in other states, but to be honest with you, every time we have a bill in another state, the tobacco industry kills us every time.
Mm.
They come in and they wash it right out. It's very frustrating.
Wow.
Well, when I
Yeah,
was
they might say they
Mm.
don't want their ads going to minors, but
Yeah.
yes, they do.
when you look at people that are vaping and stuff nowadays, they're all young. Most of the
Oh,
people
yeah.
vaping are young people. Tobacco's always been targeted towards young people. They
Yep.
want you to start when you're like 10.
Yes. Well, that's why they have like bubblegum flavors and
Yeah.
all these kid flavors.
Yeah.
Correct.
You want a fruit punch one? Sure thing.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Yep. And I have to tell you, I tried one once because I wanted to see what it tasted like. A friend of
Mm.
mine vapes and because she thought I'm going to try this to try and get out of smoking, long story. And she was vaping a strawberry. And I'm like, "Can I try that?" I got to tell you, it tasted just like a strawberry. There is no
Really?
nicotine taste, there is no aftertaste. I'm like, "No wonder these kids think this is so great."
You
It
wouldn't.
tasted
I walked by a smoke shop yesterday when I was leaving a restaurant, and they're trying to sell vapes, and they have this big banner, and it's like 12,000 hits out of this one. I'm like, you're hitting something 12,000 times. 12,000. This is our young people. We
Wow.
don't even know what vaping really does to you yet.
Right. We don't. We don't. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, this is just in life. So, I mean, if they're just telling you this out on the street and then you're online and they're like, oh, you want grape flavored or whatever. I mean, it's terrible. I don't
Yeah.
want my daughter to vape. Right now, she's young and she's like, I think smoking's horrible. But we
Yeah.
all know when you're a teenager that some things change a little bit. So, you don't want these things to be influencing your kids. I thought a really great resource when I was doing research for this interview was that you guys have this e-booklet on the website and you get like it's like tips to like keep these communication lines open with your
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that is like one of the big keys. Obviously, you can safeguard with parental controls online, but I think talking to your kids about stuff often and keeping the conversation going as they grow is one of the most important things that you can do.
I completely agree. And I probably don't push this enough because I feel like parents think it's almost the same thing as having the sex talk. they dread it. They absolutely dread it. And I get it. And every day there's something new. So that's why yes, I believe parents need to start communicating with their kids. But I also suggest, and I think this helps with communication, if your kid is on Snapchat, you should be on Snapchat. If your kid is on Instagram, you need to be on Instagram because you need to be able to talk to them about how these apps work and or even sound cool. Like, hey, did you see on Instagram today that so and so, and make sure that you're friends with each other and all that. But yes, the communication is huge. And unfortunately, it's not like the sex talk where maybe you have it once or twice. This talk, unfortunately, has to continue to happen. And I think what helps is one thing I try and tell parents, and I have it, and I'm looking at it right now, is we have a social media phone contract that our whole family has signed, and it's on our fridge. And it's all the rules of the house. And there's also the consequences. It's everything from no telephones, no cell phones at dinner to no cell phones after 8 o'clock. And it's just, and we all sign it. We all decide what's going to go on it. And that helps the conversation. That helps start the conversation, I have found. And then sometimes at dinner, we'll even kind of go back to it and start talking about it again. And I'll be like, hey, you know what I heard today? That's new. It's easy for me to do that because that's my job, but that is how I constantly try and talk about it. It's in our kitchen. And so it's easy to bring up. But I know, and I want parents to know, do not feel bad that you're not doing this all the time. Do not feel bad that you're not on all these apps and understanding it. I get it. You just have to do the very best that you can.
Yeah.
I love this idea though of like you are putting your cell phone away, they put their cell phone away. I had a conversation recently with someone about, driving and being on your device. And I was like, I'm never on my device in my car because I'm so scared that my daughter's going to see it. I'm scared of getting in an accident or something anyways, but like, I don't want my daughter to see me using my cell phone while I'm behind the wheel because eventually she's going to drive and I don't want her to be on her cell phone behind the wheel.
Yep. Oh yeah. My son called me out a couple weeks ago. We were at a stoplight and my phone like went off and I just picked it up to see and he goes, Mom. And I'm like, oh, you're right. You're right. And you can't say, well, I've been driving for 30 years, so I can do that. You can't say that.
It's not safe. It doesn't matter how long you've been driving.
It does
it's
not
safe.
matter.
Alicia, we're almost out of time, but if you could just tell people why they should take advantage of Protect My Child.
So our kids, whether these pornography and vaping and gambling marketers say that they're not, they are marketing to our kids. And I'm going to tell you, our kids put all their private information out on social media, their email address, their cell phone numbers. It's very easy to get someone's username for all of the apps. These companies swipe all of that information and use it on their marketing list. And they don't know if these people are 50 or 10, and they don't care. So the fact of the matter is our kids are getting these ads via text, email, and through these apps. And that's why it is so important. And it's so easy and it's free to sign your kids up and yourself, not just your kids, yourself too, to stop these advertisements from coming in. And I want parents to know out there too, is I also do internet safety trainings for parents for free. I can come to your church, to your school. I can do it virtually, however you would like. I can go anywhere around Michigan and do this. I've done a lot of schools on the east side of the state this year. So please get a hold of me on the Protect My Child website, which is www.protectmichild, MI for Michigan, and just contact me either for me to come and speak, or if you even just have a question about your kid's device, please contact me. That's what I'm here for.
Well, thank you so much, Alicia. You are a wealth of knowledge on the subject, and you've really enlightened me about some stuff today, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
If you have an idea for a parenting show topic or guest, talk to us at ctn@a2gov.org.
Or for more on our programming and our services, visit a2gov.org/CTN and visit youtube.com/CTN in Arbor to watch a full lineup. And remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for joining us on this adventure in parenthood.